Hi everyone, and welcome to our EdTechTeam online sneak preview. Today we have a sneak preview of our newest course, the Paperless Classroom. To start, would love to introduce myself. My name is Tracy Purdy, and I'm the Director of Online Learning for the EdTechTeam. We also have Dominique Dines with us. She'll be running the back channel. Dominique works with the EdTechTeam online program as well. So if you have any questions, she'll be answering them for you. And as I said, this is our sneak preview of our newest online course, the Paperless Classroom. And today we have Molly Schrader with us, or excuse me, Molly Bennett, sorry. Molly Bennett, the Director of Summits, who was the author of the Paperless Course Classroom. I'll let her do a little bit of introduction for herself in just a second. But as you guys are all joining us, go ahead and introduce yourself in the back channel on the YouTube Live. And also make sure you take a little bit of time to fill out this form, edtech.team/course for free, because during this Hangout, you can win an EdTechTeam online course. So I'll give you guys a second to look at that. And I will put it up again at the end if you don't get a chance to enter right now. But let's go ahead. We're going to start with our sneak preview for our newest course, the Paperless Classroom. A couple of things that I want to say just before we start. Number one, this is a just-in-time course. Just-in-time courses with the EdTechTeam are 15 hours of anytime, any place, any pace learning. You choose the time, and you can complete this work on your own. You'll be working with other people through the course, but you might not be meeting face-to-face with them at that time. So this is a great opportunity for people who want to learn more about a paperless classroom. So let's go ahead and get started with Molly and have her share. If you guys have questions, I forgot to say too, make sure you enter them in the back channel on YouTube Live, and Dominique will answer them there, or she'll come on and answer them here. So let's go ahead, Molly, you can start. Maybe introduce yourself, tell us anything more about you, and then tell us a little bit more about, first of all, why you wrote this course and what the main focus of this course is.
Great, thanks. Hi, everyone. I am Molly Bennett, formerly Schrader, and I have been doing a session at our EdTechTeam summits on creating a paperless classroom for a while. So I'm a former 4th and 5th grade teacher. I taught at Edina Public Schools here in Edina, Minnesota, and was a 4th and 5th grade teacher. And then I also was at the district office doing as a digital learning specialist, doing technology coaching and professional development. So have been in this space for a little while. I'm a Google certified trainer, and I'm also a Google certified innovator, and have been a coach for the Innovation Academy as well. So just a little bio about me. So in developing this course, obviously most schools have some sort of digital presence. So some teachers might have a website, and then other schools have adopted something called a learning management system, or an LMS. And so some schools might be using Schoology or Moodle or Edmodo. There's lots of different ones that schools have adopted. And what that does is it allows the teachers to have a digital presence for their classroom. And so they can post online assignments. The students can check in and see when assignments are due. And most of the school districts are paying for those. So even if it seems sort of free, there's still some cost associated with them. So what this course is it's taking a look at Google Classroom. So Google Classroom has been around for a few years. The greatest part about Google Classroom is that it continues to be updated. And when you're thinking about your classroom, and if you have a learning management system like Schoology or Moodle or something like that, you might also be using Google Classroom for this digital presence. So we're at a point where I think Google Classroom is sort of doing a lot of what those learning management systems are doing. And we're getting to the place where it might disrupt them and it might replace them. So this is a great course to just sort of learn about, if you don't have a learning management system, a way to sort of go paperless in your classroom. And I think that word is sort of funny. The paperless classroom makes us think, oh my gosh, there's not going to be any more paper paper for us, and kids aren't going to use pens and pencils, and that's not what we mean at all. We just mean less paper. So if teachers can commit to using less paper in the classroom, I think most of them sort of see the benefits there. So when we say going paperless with Google Classroom, we're just saying, what are some of your assignments? What are some of your discussions? What are some of your resources that you can move online into the Google Classroom system versus just doing paper and pencil all the time? So I think there's great benefits for students as well as teachers. So the main focus for this course is to really learn about Google Classroom and all of the components to it. Google Classroom really helps you organize all of your digital workflow. So if you're already using Google Docs, or if you're already having the kids do Google Slides presentations, or if you're sharing online resources, or you might have a online textbook, then this is the place that you're going to use as your mission control to sort of just organize everything. It really helps you work smarter and keep yourself and the students organized in this sort of digital space. There's a lot of communication and collaboration built in, so some global collaboration with your class, so not global outside of your Google Classroom, but just talking with your entire class. And then there's also some private communication between you and the students, not privately between student to student. So you'll always be aware of everything that's going on in Google Classroom. And then throughout the course, while you're learning about Google Classroom, you're also learning best practices or sneak peeks into what's a good use case or an example or a sample assignment. So I think those are sort of the main focus. It's learning the basics of Google Classroom, and then also some hacks and some sort of best practices along with what's going on.
Awesome. That sounds like a ton of great information. So thinking about that, why is this course important for educators? Why should they start learning about the best practices in a paperless classroom? What will be the benefit for them?
Well, I think we need to have a digital presence for ourselves, and this digital presence allows you to have sort of a walled garden that you can do stuff within your class that's sort of behind privacy of your Google Classroom. So you have to invite students, or you have to give them a code to join. It's not just open for everybody like a website. And I think the students and teachers, to be honest, we're all working in a digital environment. We have to know how to organize and kind of work smarter while we're working online. And so I think the student benefit is just providing them with some opportunities to be online, communicate and collaborate, show them how to do great posts, show them how to keep organized. It's got all these built-in notifications, digital checklists. So for your benefit and for the students, I really think it's about organization, having that digital presence for you to kind of keep track of things, teaching students how to communicate and collaborate productively, professionally, and then also, really kind of enhance that digital citizenship component by providing them real-world opportunities. It's a great archive of student work, so no longer is our assignments lost or eaten by the dog or anything. It's really just all organized in the same place. It keeps track of when things are due and when things are late. It has the ability to do record keeping and grading right in Google Classroom. And then one of the newer features is also this ability to have guardians for each of your students. And then your guardians can have either a daily or a weekly summary of the assignments or the work that's happening in class. So you're kind of creating that conversation between the students, the teachers, and the classwork that's happening. So I think it's just a benefit for not only the teachers and organization, but the students as well.
Very true. And I always think about anything that's going to make my job easier, going to make it easier for the students to stay organized. We want to work smarter, not harder. And this definitely sounds like something that can really help teachers do that. Yes. So we know that the new tool, the main tool being covered in this course, is Google Classroom. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the things that they might learn about that tool?
Yeah, so Google Classroom is really this online presence where you can have an online class. So you can meet face-to-face and have Google Classroom. That's what I would highly recommend, sort of that blended learning environment. But it's obviously all online too. So I know a lot of resource teachers that don't get to see the students all the time use Google Classroom as the way to communicate and sort of stay in touch. So we'll primarily be using Google Classroom. Inside of Google Classroom, there's some things to learn about. There are different ways that you can communicate and do activities. So there's an announcements feature. There are two types of assignments that we cover. So the assignment that you have a worksheet and you need to go to the copy machine and you make a copy and you come back and you hand one out to each student. That's one way that we'll sort of move that into Google Classroom and the paperless classroom. So no longer, Google Classroom becomes your copy machine. There's also the assignments where you tell the students, all right, everybody take out a piece of paper and I want you to create. And so we'll cover those kinds of things that happen in Google Classroom as well. There's two types of questions that you can ask in Google Classroom, open response questions and then multiple choice. So we'll go through learning about those. We'll walk through grading and assessing in Google Classroom, as well as even sort of taking it beyond just the point value, but grading with a rubric in Google Classroom with assignments. And then there's some little hacks and best practices sort of sprinkled throughout for elementary teachers, for secondary teachers, of just sort of things to keep in mind when using Google Classroom. And some of them are the good, and some of them are the things that, Google Classroom doesn't do that well yet. So you might still use paper for this.
Awesome. Lots of tips and tricks right there. So just thinking about that specifically, can you share maybe just one tip or trick that people who they might not take the course, but that they could maybe leave today with some new knowledge about Google Classroom?
Yeah, so I have two. The first one is this ability, and I talked about the digital copy machine, that Google Classroom becomes this sort of digital copy machine. So this is a picture of an assignment that you're handing out in Google Classroom. And if your assignment is a Google Doc or a Google Slides presentation, Google Classroom has this ability to, when you attach it to the assignment, make a copy for each student. And what happens is all the students that are enrolled in your course, they all get a copy of this. It names the Google Doc for them with the name of the assignment and their name. So no longer are you having untitled documents. Students don't have to put their name on their paper anymore. Google Classroom does all the work for us. And as you're doing this, it's organizing behind the scenes in Google Drive for you and for the students. People don't really go to Google Drive to access this very much, but it is doing that sort of organization behind the scenes for us. So that's a really awesome feature of Google Classroom that a lot of other learning management systems don't do. So it's a feature that Google Classroom does very well. And then the next one is on the next slide, and that is this extension. So this is an example of sort of a hack or an add-on that we'll be covering in Google Classroom. But what it is it's a Google Chrome extension called Share to Classroom. And as long as you and the students have this little extension in your Chrome browser, both you and the students can click on the Share to Classroom, and then it will allow you to push out any website. So I'm actually going to share my screen if that's okay, Tracy, if you want to bring my window live. And I'm going to just show a little live example of this. So this is an example of a Time for Kids website that I might want to get to the students. So if we're focusing on the American Revolution and I said I want the students to learn about this new this new museum that's going to be happening, what I would do is I'd go into my Google Classroom and I would see that I have US history. And I don't have any students enrolled in this course particularly yet. But what I'm going to see is that if I have this little extension called Share to Classroom, any website that I have open right now is going to allow me to share this to any of these any of these Google Classrooms. So I'll just click, I want to share it to US history. I want to push it to the students, and then it will put it as sort of something in Google Classroom, an announcement or an assignment. The cool thing that I can do as well is I can just push it to the students here that have Google Classroom open, or I can even see which website students have pushed to me. So as long as the students have this Share to Classroom, it's a really easy way without typing in URLs or anything to be able to just give students the ability, and you can create an assignment, ask a question, or make an announcement over any of these. So it's a really cool little extension that helps you work within Google Classroom, but like you said, work smarter instead of harder and be able to publish lots of things to students. So that's just an example of some of the things that, that you could be learning, and a little bit of the hacks and extras in there.
Awesome. Thank you, Molly. Tons of great information, great tips for people to take away, and then obviously so much more to learn. As you guys, we're wrapping up right now. If you do have questions, make sure you can tweet them out with the EdTechTeam Online hashtag. Also, this is a really, really great place to go on Twitter and look, because people from this class will be sharing here, and people from all of our courses will be sharing on this hashtag. So you can go here to learn a ton, but go ahead and ask some questions here. We also see that there have been a couple of questions that have come in on YouTube. Dominique, do you want to jump in and answer or ask some of those questions?
Yeah, sure. We have a couple of people asking the same question, actually. Molly, they've already been using Google Classroom for a while, and so they're wondering if this course, if there are materials or information, like new tips and tricks for people who have already been using Google Classroom, and if there's other tools that are showcased in the course.
Yeah, so it's really mostly about Google Classroom. So there, like I said, there are some sort of hacks and tips and tricks and things to think about as you're working through it. I would just suggest that, you know, as you take this course, though, you're going to sort of commit yourself to trying all the different aspects of Google Classroom. So there might be stuff in there. In all of my sessions that I teach, most people walk away being like, oh my gosh, I had no idea that you could. So maybe it's the grading and assessing. Maybe you've never used it with a rubric. Maybe you have never returned the work to the students so they don't know their scores that they've gotten on any of their assignments, which is a very common thing that happens. And so I do think, you know, it is meant to be a little bit more of an introduction, but it is also going to be a place where all aspects of Google Classroom are going to be covered, and we'll keep updating it as there are Google Classroom updates that happen as well.
Awesome. And we don't have any other questions right now, but if anybody else who's watching has something else you'd like to ask Molly, please go ahead and put that in the chat, and we'll make sure to ask before we finish up.
Or let me know on @followmolly if you're not watching live, and I will try to get back to you on Twitter.
Perfect.
That's great. Yep, these questions can be answered at any time. Just like I said before, that EdTechTeam Online or hashtag EdTechTeam Online for Twitter is a great place to go to ask these questions. Somebody will go in and answer that question. We also have an EdTechTeam Online Google Plus community that you can go and join and see a lot of the things that people have posted about what they've learned in different courses. So go ahead and try and join that as well. Molly, we really thank you for joining us, telling us a little bit about the paperless classroom. We're really excited about our newest course with EdTechTeam Online. And we hope that some people will come and join us in taking this course and learn more about those best practices. So even if you are using Google Classroom, maybe coming and really diving deep into it and thinking about why you're doing the things you're doing within Google Classroom, what are some of those best practices? So thank you, Molly, for joining us.
You're welcome.
I also do just want to point out that we have some more sneak previews coming up. In the month of May, we have 2 new geo courses launching, a brand new Earth, and also creating global learners with geo tools, which is an introductory course. Both of those will be a sneak peek on May 9th at 6 p.m. Pacific, and it will be also an hour of learning about the brand new Earth and all the new geo tools with Google's John Bailey. So join us for that. We also have the Teacher Leader Certificate that starts in June. And if you want to know more about that, join us May 16th at 5 p.m. I want to remind you, if you haven't had a chance yet, to fill out the form to win a free course. And after this call, we'll pick a winner and email you and let you know who the winner for the free course is. And also, for joining us today, if you would like to enroll in the Paperless Classroom, you can use the promo code Sneak Preview to get 10% off. And this will last until May 2nd. So go ahead and register now so that you can get that 10% off. So we're really, or you can get 10% off some of the other courses that launched recently too. So thanks a ton for joining us. We're really glad to have this new course with you, Molly, and let us know if you have any other questions, and we'll see you online soon. Thanks.
Bye, everyone.